When MXSuite is started up, the first thing that has to be done is to log into the system. MXSuite has to know who wants to enter the system in order to know which user rights apply to the person that is logging in. When MXSuite is opened at the office, MXSuite shows an overview of all vessels. In this case, there are 4 vessels in the license. For each vessel, there is an indicator of the status of the module. Let's take a look at the MXSuite Trader 1. The maintenance bar is divided into 3 parts. Approximately 40% is in red. This means that 40% of the maintenance tasks of this vessel of the MXSuite Trader 1 is overdue. Approximately 5% is in orange, which means that 5% of the maintenance tasks is due. The remaining 55% is green, indicating that those maintenance tasks are on schedule. This also applies to the bars of the other modules. The only exception is the last bar. This one is an indicator for the synchronization, and it grows day by day. It starts empty, and every day the vessel does not synchronize, the bar grows. After 7 days, it will be half full and it turns orange. After 14 days, the bar is completely full and the color changes from orange to red. When the mouse is on the bar, it shows how many days this vessel and the office have not been synchronized. A red bar indicates that the information is outdated. Without recent synchronization, the module bars in the office do not reflect the actual status as it is on board. A vessel can be selected by clicking on its name. When clicking on the status bar of a module, MXSuite will open the selected module of that vessel. Now we click on the vessel name. On board a vessel, MXSuite opens up like this. The difference between the office and the vessel is that on board the vessel, there only information of the vessel itself is shown, whereas in the office, a total overview of all vessels will be shown at startup. Usually, on board, this pop-up appears periodically when starting MXSuite. The system wants to know the actual counter values of the main engines, the generators, etc. In this pop-up, the actual counter values can be entered, so up-to-date values are entered in this pop-up. The average counter values per week are calculated automatically by MXSuite. This is necessary in order to calculate the interval of a task. Immediately after the new counter values are saved, the due dates of the related maintenance task are recalculated. The current changes can be saved without any problem. However, when the original and new number differ a lot, problems can appear. If the new number is significantly higher than the previous one, the new average per week may be more than 168 hours. This is not possible, as a week only counts 168 hours. The same applies to a low value. It is not possible to have less than 0 hours a week. As soon as the entry has been saved, the date of input becomes today and the icon becomes green. After 1 week, the counter values have to be updated again. The green icon is the indicator that it has been recently updated. A red icon indicates that the counter values have to be updated. At the top of the start screen of the vessel, there is a list with all the modules of the system. On the right-hand side, there are some shortcuts to certain functions. At the bottom, there is an explanation of the used colours. Look at maintenance, for example. The used icons are explained, and the number indicates the number of tasks of a certain type. Now all modules will be briefly explained. We start with the maintenance module. On the left-hand side, there is a list with the categories. Within each category, there are subcategories containing all equipment. As soon as a category is selected, on the right-hand side of the screen, a list with all maintenance tasks is shown. Here you see that every maintenance task has a coloured icon reflecting the status of the task. To open the details of a maintenance task, right-click on the task and click on Edit Task. Here, all the details of the task can be added and edited, such as the ID number and task description. This task has an interval of 300 running hours and a maximum of 12 months. These 300 running hours are related to the main engine starboard, so this task should be completed every 300 running hours with a maximum of 12 months. The minimum information needed for a maintenance task is a name and an interval. Besides that, you can enter a rank. This indicates what rank a person should have to do this task. The time that is needed to accomplish this task can be entered too. Remark as mandatory means that the person who marks the task as completed has to enter a remark. In the tab Task Description, the entire task procedure can be described. By clicking on this button, you can make a link in the description to an external resource. In the tab Documents, several documents can be attached to the task. Last but not least, in the tab Parts, a link is made between the maintenance task and the spare parts in the inventory module. When a maintenance task is completed, parts from the inventory are used. Here you can enter which part is needed and the required quantity. In this way, the entire maintenance schedule can be created, containing all the maintenance tasks that should be completed on board the vessel. A maintenance task can be marked as completed by either double-clicking or right mouse clicking and selecting Completed. If Remark is mandatory was selected, there is a red line around the Remarks box. At the tab Documents, documents can be attached to the task. In the tab Parts, the used parts are shown. The parts that were said to be used when doing this task are subtracted from the stock when the task is marked as completed. The easier way to mark tasks as completed is to go back to the summary and select Work List. This is the way it is often used on board. After opening MXSuite, users immediately go to the Work List where all due and overdue tasks are shown. By double-clicking on a task, the task can be marked as completed. A work order can be printed by clicking on the button Print Work Order. All details of the task are shown here. Also, the whole task list can be printed by clicking on Print. The work list can be shown in whatever way the user finds easiest. The work list makes use of views. A month list or week list can be shown, or a list of tasks only for the chief engineer. This layout is called a view, and within a view you can configure which columns are shown, how the tasks are filtered, how they are ordered, and how they are grouped. An example of ordering follows the order of the tree. Grouping can be done by clicking on a column header and moving it a little bit up to the group bar. Let's return to the maintenance module. When a task cannot be completed for whatever reason, it can be postponed by clicking on Reschedule. There are 3 rescheduling options. 1. Reschedule it to a new date. 2. Reschedule it to a certain counter value. 3. Reschedule it to an upcoming docking period when the vessel is in dry dock. In order to reschedule it to a docking period, there should already be an upcoming docking period in the system. A rescheduled task is indicated with a clock symbol. In this case, the clock is green, meaning that the task has been rescheduled and is on schedule. For every maintenance task and category, The history can be shown by right mouse clicking on the task or category and selecting Show History. The system automatically goes to the History module, and there all history of the task or category is shown. The Equipment module, which is part of the Maintenance module, has exactly the same tree structure on the left-hand side as the Maintenance module. On the right-hand side, the details of the equipment are shown, such as the manufacturer, the type, and the serial number. When double-clicking on a detail, there is the option to mention the details on a service request or product order. Details can be added by clicking on the button New. A picture of the item can be added too. The Inventory module is related to the Maintenance and Equipment module. It also has the same structure on the left. This module contains all the spare parts that are on board the vessel. These parts can be organised per category. Several details are shown of each part, such as the unit, stock and quantity on order. Additionally, a minimum and maximum stock can be indicated. When the actual stock is below the minimum, the line is red. An item can be opened by double-clicking on it. There is a lot of information regarding the spare part itself, such as the unit, supplier, actual stock, minimum and maximum stock. The stock details are interesting for the Purchase module because here an order can be created based on these values. When there is less stock than the minimum, with an automatic request, the item will be added to a purchase order. When a maximum stock is filled in, the difference between the actual and maximum stock will be added automatically. Besides looking to the actual, minimum and maximum stock, the system will also look at the reserved stock, which will be added to the amount of the automatic purchase request. Additionally, the system looks at the quantity on order, which will be subtracted from the amount on the automatic purchase request. In the tab Suppliers, several suppliers of that part can be added. For each supplier, the price per unit, the delivery time, and the order code can be entered. You can make a supplier a preferred supplier by checking the Radio button. In the tab Comments, anything can be added. In the tab Category, the link can be made between the spare part and where it is used. In the tab Documents, documents can be attached to a spare part, such as a safety data sheet. At the top of this tab, the material declaration sheet can be saved. Below that, there are two areas in which documents can be attached. When a document is attached in the upper area, the document is visible for all vessels that were enabled in the tab Stock from Other Locations. Documents added to the lower part are only synchronized for this vessel. Spare parts can be linked to one or more vessels. After that, the spare part can be linked to one or more categories on the vessel. In this tab, the actual stock on board each vessel is shown. Sometimes the crew is allowed to buy items from the ship's stores. In the tab Crewing, you can define whether the crew is allowed to buy this item or not, together with the price and currency. Next is the Certificates module. On board a vessel there are lots of certificates. These certificates can have annual surveys or intermediate surveys. Most surveys have a window time. This window time is indicated by the green, yellow or red lines before and after the icon. The black vertical line is today. The window time of the top certificate has already expired, which is indicated by the red line. We will add an endorsement for this window period. After that, the line will become green and has a tiny curl through it. This indicates that the survey has been done. In the certificate details, the certificate type and the window time can be specified. Besides that, the certificate number, the certificate name, the renewal time, the category, the issuer of the certificate, and the dates of issue and expiry can be specified. Comments can be added and documents can be attached. The paperclip icon indicates that a document is attached to the certificate. This document can be opened by right mouse clicking on the paperclip icon and selecting Documents and clicking on the file. The safety module is all about safety drills that should be done on board the vessel. A safety drill can be marked as completed by double-clicking on the line or right mouse clicking and selecting Completed. Then type a report or add a document. When the crewing module is in the license, the employees are shown for this safety drill. The crew members attending this safety drill can be selected. After saving, the line of MOB manoeuvre shifts to April and becomes green. When the drill is opened, the details of the safety drill are shown. A template can be made to guide the crew members when signing off the drill. This safety drill has a fixed interval of 6 months, so every 6 months this safety drill should be completed. 1 month before, the crew can start doing this drill. When there are documents attached to the safety drill, they can be opened by clicking on the paperclip in front of the name of the safety drill. In the Purchase module, by default, a list is shown with all the purchase orders that are open. When creating a new purchase order, there is a button to insert the required inventory. Now all spare parts that are below the minimum stock and not yet ordered are added to the purchase request. Parts can also be added manually. When Fit is typed, a list is shown with all the spare parts with a name that contains Fit. Now we add a fitting and we save and send the requisition to the office. Now the office receives an order request form, the vessel and the status of the order is Requisition. Now we follow the purchase flow, which can be customized per customer. When the order is reopened, the supplier prices can be requested. The request of prices from the supplier can be printed or emailed. The enquiry contains a logo at the top, followed by all details of this purchase enquiry. Before we go on, we first add a quantity and a price per unit. Approval steps can also be configured. This order now needs to be approved. Someone with the user right to approve an order has to approve or reject it. This can be done for the whole order by clicking Approve. It could also be done line by line. The next step is to print or email the order, which can be done with these buttons. Now the order is marked as ordered. This is the process that happens at the office, in short. Now the ordered parts will be delivered, which could be either on board the vessel or in the warehouse. Therefore, when the order is opened, there are two options: Mark as delivered and Mark as received in warehouse. It could be that the received quantity is less than the ordered quantity. Instead of the 2 ordered, we only receive 1. Then MXSuite asks what to do with the difference. Forget it, or make a back order. In this case, a back order is created. Now there are 2 lines in this order. One line with 1 piece which has already been delivered, and one line with the remaining piece on order. This second line can also be marked as delivered. Finally, MXSuite can also attach the invoice to the order. The invoice can be approved or rejected, and then the order is ready and is removed from the list. To show all closed orders, click the button Search and include closed orders. Here the order appears again. MXSuite also saves all actions per order line. Open the order and right mouse click on the order line. Here you can see when and where this line was created, who created it, and what was done with it. This is the Documents module. In this module, a tree structure can be created on the left-hand side for all document categories. When a category is edited, several details can be specified, such as the name, which user groups are allowed to see this document category, and which locations this document category is synchronized to. All users in MXSuite are divided into user groups, and to each user group, certain rights are assigned. To assign rights, document roles can be created. In the role Viewer, for example, the user can only view documents. In the role Editor, the user is able to edit documents. When a new document is added, several details can be entered. When the field Request Sign is checked, the user has to enter a password to see the document. Notify User means that the user will see this document in a list with all newly created and changed documents when starting up MXSuite. Only the selected locations that are able to see the category can be selected to see the document. In the Documents module, it is also possible to create a document based on a template. In that case, a Word or Excel template should be added, and MXSuite will make a copy of this template, which can be filled in by the user. Besides that, it is possible to create forms. A form could be an incident report, a non-conformity report, a near-miss report, or any other report. When creating a new form, first the name of the form should be given, then the form opens and can be filled in. Any type of field can be created here, such as text fields, numerical fields, tick boxes, or selection fields. As soon as the form is saved, the data is saved into the database and can be used for any reporting purposes. In the Voyages module, all information about voyages that have been made can be saved. At the top, any field can be created. By default, only the fields voyage number, start date, and end date are included. For each loading or discharging port, a lot of data can be filled in. The fields country and port are mandatory. When pressing the Now button, the current date and time are automatically entered. All voyage details can be entered here. Also, Documents can be saved per voyage to get a clear and complete overview of all details and documents of a voyage in one system. The FLGO module encaptures all consumables of the vessel. FLGO stands for fuel, lub, gas, oil. In the settings of MXSuite, the list of consumables should be defined. On board, two things are done. The values are updated and the filling of the bunkering is recorded. When Update Values is pressed, a list appears with all consumables. Here, the actual contents remaining on board can be entered. In the Fill Bunkering pop-up, the received values of all the consumables can be entered. This screen indicates what the consumption was this week for which consumable. The overview can be printed. Here, a start period and an end period can be entered. The difference in values and the quantity used are calculated in this report. Then there is the Crewing module. At the left-hand side of the Crewing module, a list with all the crew members is shown. This is a view so the layout can be changed if you want. That means you can define what is shown. Select a crew member, and on the right-hand side the personal information of the selected crew member is shown. The ID is automatically created based on the date of birth. The field Email for Expiry specifies which email address an email should be sent to when a document, such as a passport, is about to expire. This email will be sent before the expiry date, and in the configuration you can select per document type how many days before the due date the email should be sent. In the tab Addresses, the residential and postal address of both the employee and the next of kin can be entered. Then there are three tabs: Education, Documents and Medical, which are almost the same. In the tab Education, it is possible to attach all documents related to the education of this employee. The date of issue and the date of expiry are shown, and some other information regarding this document. A red icon indicates that it has already expired. In the tab Evaluation, a form can be filled in to evaluate the crew member. Activities is a summary of all the sailing history and all notes that were made for the crew member. In the tab Cash, cash advances to the crew member can be recorded, as well as clearance for the employee's salary. The tab Employment contains the employee's contracts. Contracts can be created and saved here. The sheet Work and Rest Hours covers all hours that the employee has worked. The system automatically calculates how many hours of rest the employee has had. Also, all validation according to the IMO and ILO regulations are automatically made here. When the hours exceed the maximum of these regulations, the line becomes red. If you hover over the red lines, the reason can be seen. In the tab Safety Drills, there is a list containing the safety drills which the crew member has attended. This is the same list as in the Safety module, but now from the side of the crew member. In the tab Other, any field can be added. By default, only the field Comments is there. The skills of the crew member can also be entered. Here, the whole planning can be made, and you can see which employees are at which location and when. All details can be seen by double-clicking on a crew member. Symbols may be shown indicating that something is not in accordance with safe manning. What the symbol exactly indicates can be seen by hovering on it. A list with warnings can be seen when pressing the button Warnings. In the Reports module, there are reports based on the information from the other modules. These reports can be opened if you have the relevant user rights. In the History module, all history of maintenance, certificates, safety, counter values, inventory, FLGO, and sent mails can be seen. In the Administration part, the whole system can be configured, such as user rights and ranks. Settings is also a part of a configuration, such as the logo that is shown at the top on the left, and the synchronization. Last but not least, if you have any questions, feel free to give us a call or email us. To check for updates, press the button Check for Updates. If you bought the program from a dealer, on the right-hand side, all dealer information is shown.